Now, here's the thing, whichever type of stage you're at, leading a team and creating a healthy, innovative, successful team, it's not a simple step-by-step process with a nice Gantt chart attached to it. People are just not like that. It's skilled work. And what I find is that many people creating a business or developing a business or running a business, even for a few years, they're making it up as they go along. Sound familiar? And it's understandable. You know, you're focusing on growth, you're focusing on investors, you're focusing on the ops. Yes? Let me just let you in to something I've learned though. This is a really risky strategy. So why do I say that? Let me put it like this. As a business owner, as somebody who's going to develop a company, a business, you have the opportunity to not just create livelihoods for people, but you will have real influence over the quality of people's lives, the people you employ. You will have power and influence over people's well-being, because work affects people's well-being, not just their wealth, it affects their health, it affects their families. It's a huge responsibility. It's not something to just make up as you go along. It's a huge privilege that, as a leader, as a business leader. Would you agree? Yeah? But if you mess up on the relationship stuff, on the human stuff, it can ruin lives. And I'm not exaggerating. Ask me in the Q&A later if you want to know more of those dark details. Happy to share. It can ruin lives. It can make people miserable. It's incredibly stressful for you. And it doesn't have to be that way. I see far too many leaders and business owners burning out. Ever met anybody who that's happened to? Again, a dismal, tragic set of circumstances when that happens. Sometimes that's about the money. Sometimes it's the stress over money, but oftentimes, I don't know whether you've noticed this, it is about relationships. Relationships that have gone sour, that aren't working, that are becoming toxic. It can ruin people's lives. So, do you know what? I'm going to save you something. I'm going to make you a saving today. I'm going to save you 32 years. Who's up for that? 32 years saving of mistakes you don't need to make, of things that don't need to go wrong. And I'm going to save you not just the time and the stress, but the cost that will have if you let that happen in your business. How does that sound? Okay, so 32 years. 32 years that is of me as a team coach, a leader coach for business owners, business startups, chief execs, managing directors, companies large and small, through to huge public sector organisations and everything in between. 32 years, 10 years leading teams myself, CIPD qualified, a PhD in leadership and the effect it has on people and profit. I've also done research, academic research, but most of all, I have implemented, I have experimented. 32 years, I've worked with tens of thousands of people in hundreds of teams, and I have learned what doesn't work, and I have learned what does. And I'm going to share that with you now. So this is the human leadership culture compass. Because that step-by-step process, it doesn't work like that. But anybody with this compass, anybody leading or managing a team can navigate their way through uncertainty, innovation, and building a healthy team and culture. It orientates you so you can pick this up. It's a skill set and you can put it into practice in your own everyday work and with your teams straight away. So, H.U.M.A.N. Going to be able to remember that? Yeah, if I ask you tomorrow, H.U.M.A.N. Yeah, maybe we could do a rap to it. Fancy that? Yeah. So what's the H? Well, the H is for honest. It sounds so simple. Being even more honest about human nature. So what do I mean by that? If you're trying to lead teams and human beings through creativity, uncertainty, change, stress, without ever having learned why people in groups behave the way they do, why people behave as they do when it doesn't seem to make any sense, it is a bit like trying to do a surgical operation, never having learned basic anatomy. It is as simple as that. And so I take clients, leaders, business owners, and their teams through the imperfectly human invitation. And this helps them understand that stuff. It helps them understand what's going on between themselves. It helps them show up with less pretense about some idealized version of themselves that they are, which people see through and which feels really, really disingenuous, and gets to the real, honest conversations. It also enables people to not say what they think just as it is. That's not the sort of honesty we're talking about. The key transformation in teams comes when you use humble honesty. And I show teams and their leaders and business owners what that is and how to put into practice straight away to create teams where people want to work, enjoy their work, and get even better results. So that's honesty. Second, uncomfortable. Who wants to be more uncomfortable? Well, you're all in innovation. There is no innovation in your comfort zone. Yet, a lot of people, they find moving out of their comfort zone threatening, scary. Yeah. And so how can you as a leader understand? It's really frustrating when people don't seem to want to change, isn't it? So how can you create an environment where people will take that risk to move out of their comfort zone? There are some uncomfortable conversations that are going to need to be had. It's part of business. But can you remember one of those uncomfortable conversations where it's felt like a really embarrassing dialogue or excruciating or harmful or bruising experience? It doesn't need to be that way, but only if you learn together how to deal with those really tricky issues in a way that helps people feel safe, supported, and valued. That's what the Safer Discomfort Zone does, which is how I work with teams and clients on the U. So what's next? What's M? Well, any guesses? I can see it going over your face. Motivation, that's managerial, boring stuff. Oh, that's from the 20th century. No, M is for messy. Because when people work in groups and teams, do you know what? It can get messy. Have you ever seen that? I walk into some businesses sometimes, some offices, some organisations. It's like a blooming soap opera. He said, she said. It wasn't me, it was them. Yeah? Sometimes it feels like every minuscule interaction becomes a drama, sucking your energy away from the business into all of this stuff that you need to sort out. And do you know what? Some people have the box set of this drama. It's awful, isn't it, when people are at loggerheads, or even where there's that tension or that friction in the office. Yeah? It's a recipe for unhappy people, and it's so stressful for you. So I take clients, teams, business owners through the group dynamic detox. It's a sophisticated skill set that I've distilled into easy to remember, the 4 key traps that teams and groups so predictably fall into if they're not careful, particularly when they're under pressure. And it helps them to avoid those traps and to focus instead on relating and connecting and collaborating in a way that builds trust and really focuses on shared success and mutual support and challenge to achieve that. So that's messy. A is for amazing. because I hear a lot of business owners say that they get approached to sort out minutiae in the business. Yeah, they get involved in a lot of the detail. And why is that? Well, some people are very controlling. They like to be in control. That's another story. That comes up in this as well. But one of the reasons is that team members don't actually believe in their own. They don't have as much self-belief as they could. They have learned not to believe in themselves. They have potentially been conditioned to believe they haven't got any power unless they ask for permission. And what the personal power transformer does, which is what I work with teams on in Amazing in this section, is it releases people's self-belief and influencing skills to really take forward their ideas and to really tap into their amazing impact in ways that they couldn't possibly imagine. And for the leaders of those teams and the managers and the business owners, it enables you to learn 9 core influencing strategies that you can use with not just with your colleagues, but with clients, with investors, partners, to win hearts and minds as much as talk to the head. So it transforms your influencing, whatever your role. And then there's N, which is new. Because learning this stuff is one thing as a business leader or owner or as a team, but embedding it and sustaining it involves new ways of working. It means shifting our expectations and how we have conversations about expectations. It involves setting healthier new boundaries between work and home life to keep yourselves and your team members well. So with the human culture and leadership compass, what impact does this have? It all sounds very great, but what impact does it have? And I'd like to leave with you in a minute some examples. There's loads, and ask me more in the Q&A. But before that, just various ways you can access this, because it is real. This is a thing that's available. And I like to try and make it available in different ways for different contexts, because I work with teams as small as 3 or 4 through to 16,000 plus organisations. So I offer bespoke team development. I offer leadership coaching for business leaders and owners. I work in businesses with teams. I do video-based learnings over weeks or sometimes a whole year as an ongoing team development process, and everything in between, hybrid, face-to-face, online. And there's also the Culture Trap, which is a practical guide with all this stuff in that you can get your mitts on as a business owner and think, right, where do I start with this particular issue I've got? It will be in there. If it's about relationships at work, you'll find ways to sort it out in there. And there's some copies at the back, more details on this QR code about me and my work. And there's a special offer on if you want to scan the QR code on the back. The books at the back have got a special offer on them on the QR code. So just very quickly, just some examples. There's so many, difficult to know what to choose. But Jo, cybersecurity, she'd only been around for 9 months in the business when I started working with them. And I'm not going to read that out for you. You can read it for yourself. But Jo actually ended up being a culture lead within the business after she'd done my programme to help embed and spread the H.U.M.A.N approach. And it made a huge difference between their commercial team and their technical team, who previously hardly ever spoke to each other. How you can run a business like that, I don't know, but they were managing. By the time they finished, it was transformed in terms of the relationships. The managing director of an IT company, he self-confessed, was a bit out of his depth with the people stuff and the relationships. And this is some of the stuff he said at the end about the way that his team had taken on initiative to get on with stuff and not continually getting him involved in the details. And he also was really focused on Gen Z. We've got some Gen Z in the room. Yes. And as you will know, expectations amongst Gen Z. This stuff really matters, the vibe in the office and the development that people get. This is brilliant personal development for people. And it's a core investment is how Mike viewed it, in a very competitive skills market where he really struggled to keep people. And then James is an example of a leader who was pretty good at this stuff, actually, but he thought he could be even better. And he basically said it's transformed their meetings, it's quicker, it's more fun, they're more efficient, people are bringing ideas in a way they never did before, and his view was it upgraded everything for them. And that's someone starting from a very high point. So those are the ways that you can contact me, lots of ways to work with me, and very happy to answer any questions that you may have. And let's release that human.